What's up, everybody? Welcome to the podcast now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about the killer, Ghostface, again, in Scream, and if they are going to be connected to either Billy or Stu. And depending on the way I title this, talking about if it's going to be a good or bad thing, right? Because, and this is just a random idea that popped into my head. I was thinking, I was thinking about the interviews that they've had over the past couple of weeks, and it's like, what if, this is something that they decide to do? What if they decide to link the killer, yet again, it's not like it's never been done before, to Billy and or Stu? Or you pick one of them, you pick both of them, whatever, right? Is that possible? Well, it depends on, obviously, the way that the movie goes. It depends on how much they are going to look back. Like, We've heard about, nods to it, and there's obviously going to be respect there, and we know Nev, Sydney is going to be the main character, obviously good, which is a good thing, but, they've even, publicly said that she is, the story's still going to basically revolve around her in some form. So could the killer be related all the way back? Would that be a good way of kind of, tying the bow that is Scream? Even though, by the way, I don't think that would mean the end whatsoever. In fact, I 100% think if this movie does well enough, there'd be a 6 or, another Scream movie. And I would argue Nev Campbell should still, come back and all that stuff. And we have talked about that, and we will talk about that. So here's the deal. Is that a good or bad thing? Having Ghostface be linked to or related to or, whatever, to Billy or Stu. I feel like it's tough. My initial answer would have been, I don't like it that much. If you just ask me, if you find me in like a dark alleyway in the streets and you don't have a Ghostface mask or anything, because that would probably scare me. But you come up to me and you say, hey, Alex, gut reaction. If I were to tell you the Ghostface killer for Scream 5 is I don't know, like Billy's, I guess there's like fan fiction things, but like something related to like Billy, right? I would say, can't you come up with something on you? That's probably the first thing I would think. I don't know. Maybe I can talk myself into it with this video, because when I am kind of talking out loud to you guys right now, the more I'm thinking about it, the more I think I maybe would be okay with it. You know what I mean? I think it depends on how the movie is, to be flat out honest with you. And I don't even have like a bullet point, like this is the first thing that needs to happen for me to feel okay about it. Here's the second thing. But if the movie does feel like a bow, where it is very respectful of, and not even just respectful, but it ties into, you know what I mean? That's the thing. And you could even argue that the way the directors have talked about this, right? One of the main things we just heard a few weeks ago is that, if you've watched the other movies, you're going to be more equipped for this one, but you don't have to. People can watch this movie for the first time and be fine with it. Now, when you say something like that, I would immediately, one of the first things I would go to would be the killer. To be flat out honest with you, one of the first things I would go to, if you say, okay, so if you watch the other movies, you'll probably enjoy it more. You'll enjoy this movie more, because you'll notice Easter eggs, you'll notice, references or callbacks or whatever, right? But you could watch this on your own. Well, if you're bringing to life a horror movie, and actually now I'm starting to get away from, now I think I'm on the right track now. If you're starting this movie, and it's this big film, right? And you want people old and new to go to see it, right? And arguably, you do want a lot of new people as well, because the old people, and old is like the people that have been with you for a while, they're always going to be there. They're always going to be, hopefully, right? As long as you don't mess anything up. But you always need new people to kind of add to that, especially if you want these movies to become more and more successful and to have, more of them, going forward. You need new people. If people have never heard of Billy and Stu, and I know it may sound crazy, but I mean, it's possible. It's very actually likely many people have never seen Scream 1 through 4, and maybe this would be their first one. I think that's very likely, right? If you have the killer being very much like a reference to them, or, well, maybe not even that. That's actually probably fine. But, if you literally have them be, their blood relative or somebody connected, and you put it too much on those characters, I feel like that's maybe a bad choice. Having characters like the OG, like the three of them, right, constantly coming back, these are characters that you just know they're the main characters. But when you go back to the well for Scream 1 and you go to two characters that are dead, and maybe, obviously Stu, Yeah, well, I guess if you follow technically Wes Craven, you could infer he's not dead, right? Because he was supposed to be doing this all from prison in Scream 3. Therefore, in Wes's mind, he was never actually dead. So maybe you could do something, maybe he's not actually dead. But you're going back to these characters that have been gone for so long, and then to bring them back, but bring them back in the way where you really lean into them, maybe it wouldn't work. I don't even know if it would be a bad idea. I don't even think it maybe would be a bad idea. I think people like you, people like me that have been around or have watched, literally just watched the movies, I think we'd be fine. You know what I mean? And we'd maybe even like it. But people have never seen it before. I don't know. Unless you have like flashbacks, which we have talked about before. If there's flashbacks to the original, if you see them again, that could, that would actually, in my opinion, be a very big sign that you could have killers that are related to them in some way. And by the way, I know there's been like theories. I know some of the relationships of characters or like the family trees have kind of been figured out, for some of the characters in this movie, and that's fine. I'm not really, this really is kind of separate from all of that, but it's tough. It's tough. I think I go to Scream 4, and I know I just did that for even last week's video, right, with the trailer. The trailer for Scream 5, I'd want to mimic Scream 4's quite a bit because I just feel like it has the most comparisons in terms of back then and even right now. But, like, even if you go to the killer there, let's just look at Jill, right? Like, having her be related to Sidney. And technically you could say, well, all of the killers always are very much, actually all of them are always connected to Sidney in some way. You know what I mean? They're not necessarily blood relatives, but they're always connected to her. That's how you get around a lot of the issues just in general. But I think that was generally a good idea, like to have somebody blood related to her, because it could be a brand new character that you can bring in literally in this movie, learn to like, connect the dots, but connect the dots with characters that are there right now. I think another thing I'm trying to say, maybe doing a bad job at it, is that, like when you have a Jill, right? New character, but you can immediately say, oh, look, she's literally, here's how she connects to Sidney, and look, Sidney's right there. So, like, you can see her, you can see, and you can see the relationship now. You know what I mean? Whereas if you have a character and they're gonna, say they are some sort of like nephew or brother-in-law, whatever, right, to a Billy and Stu. If you did that, then, and you don't have them in your movie, and it would be hard to do that unless you do flashbacks, right? But other than doing flashbacks, it's pretty darn difficult to have these characters return, right? I think that's just harder for an audience to follow, a new audience at least, right? Because you'd have to have watched the past stuff, and it doesn't seem like you're going to have needed to. You're not going to need to watch the past movies in order to enjoy, or I would even assume understand this movie. The way they talk about it is like, you'll like it, or you're gonna like it regardless, but you'll like it more. But I would argue understanding is a better, is actually a more like bigger word, a more important word overall. So it'll be interesting. Talking about it and just thinking about it, and I think this is one of my most poorly thought through videos, because I'm just not saying I'm stopping it often, so I apologize for that. But I feel like I would be okay with it, but if they didn't do it and they did something brand new or on their own, and I'm not discrediting or crediting that, but I think that would be fine too. It'll be interesting. I've had videos even like back almost a year ago, right? We've talked about Billy and Stu before. I think their presence should be felt in some way. Like, I think it would be pretty disrespectful if you don't mention them. If you don't, I don't know what you could really do besides at least that, right? That'd probably be, if you don't do flashbacks, or, I've even mentioned, even with like Sidney, you could do like a haunting kind of thing where like she sees them or she hears them. It'd be going a pretty different direction, and I'm not sure that would be a good direction, but you could do that. That would be something, that would be a way, I guess, of getting these characters back in there. So it depends. But I wouldn't be upset if they were connected to those two. I just don't know if it makes sense to do it if your target audience is a new audience. I don't think you would do that. So let me know, guys, what you think in the comments below. Do you think they'll be related to Billy or Stu? You think they'll be related to Sidney? You think they'll be somebody kind of unrelated to anybody? Let me know. As always, make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. Hit the bell icon so you guys know when all these videos go up. I try to do a new Scream video every single Tuesday. Obviously, if there's any news or anything I think I need to speak on, regarding Scream, I definitely do more of these videos. If you guys want to follow me on any of my social media stuff, I have a Twitter, I have a second channel, we have Patreon and YouTube memberships. All the links are in the description below if you guys want to check them out. Thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. I hope to see you all on the next video.